Welcome to the introductory video on ASP.NET. ASP is a titanic subject. There's quite a bit to it, and if you ever want to make your websites dynamic, you're going to need to use ASP or PHP. In this series, though, we're going to go over ASP, and that stands for Active Server Pages. It is a server-based technology, which means most of your ASP code will be executed on a server and then sent back to the web browser. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are primarily client-based technologies. That is, they are executed on the browser without ever making a voyage to the server. And that's where ASP really comes into play. We can do a lot of work on the server side of things and not have to bog down the browser. That's one nice quality. And ASP offers quite a bit of security, and that's for a later topic. Now, ASP.NET is part of the larger Microsoft.NET framework. It's a set of components that you can use to build something. In this case, it's going to be a website. C# and Visual Studio are other components of the .NET framework. What does ASP.NET do for us? It allows us to create dynamic websites. That's really the key here. If you took my other tutorials on CSS and HTML, those were just static web pages that we were working on. But ASP.NET allows us to do a lot of things. Database queries, user login accounts, master and content pages, and the list goes on and on. But even better, we can do all our work visually through Visual Studio. Visual Studio is the main conduit of everything, including ASP.NET. So that will be our development tool throughout this series. And it's a nice one-stop shop. What are we going to explore in this series? We're going to explore almost all of the tools in ASP.NET. And think of these tools as your own personal toolbox. You can use them when you need them, a particular portion of your website that you want to make dynamic. And we'll cover many of the tools offered in ASP.NET in this series. We're also going to cover very important concepts such as master and content pages. And if you're using ASP.NET, you will almost always use master and content pages because nearly every website today has multiple pages, sometimes hundreds, even thousands of pages. And master and content pages will make your life a lot easier. And so we'll be covering master and content pages very extensively in this series. We will create in this series a multiple page website with many web controls. Now, what do you need for this series? Well, the first is software, and that is the Microsoft Visual Studio Community software. Now, if you go out to Google and you type in those keywords, Microsoft Visual Studio Community, the first link you get will be a link to download the software. And it's a very easy install. All you literally have to do is hit next, 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 and you have everything that we're going to need, including IIS Express. So we can actually fire up and fully test out our website as though it's in the real world. And what does that mean? You can do all of your testing in Visual Studio before you launch it on whatever platform is going to host your site. Now, what do you need to know? Well, at a minimum, you'll want to know HTML and CSS. So if you have no experience in HTML and CSS, you should go to my channel page and go through those tutorials. Now, as usual, I will give you every line of code and I will explain every line of code. I do that in all of my tutorials, and this series will be no different. Oh, one more thing before we go. I will provide a link to download Microsoft Visual Studio Community in the description of this video. Okay, see you guys in the next video.